Hey guys, Andy again. Um, Coming to you with a message tonight that is pretty important. Um, we often find ways to motivate ourselves for certain things, and today was exceptional for me. When I find these moments, I seem to reflect on them a little more. I seem to have a better understanding of the importance of moments that motivate you, that inspire you. And I wanted to share a story I heard today from a law enforcement officer. He was at an agency in Virginia involved in an officer involved shooting and shared his story at a conference I'm at. And, I just wanted to reflect on that tonight in my motel room. This officer and his partner responded to a domestic, as I've done numerous times, every law enforcement has. And, we act on the information that we're given from our dispatcher. That dispatcher gives us information that they're given from whoever's calling. And this night it was a young lady said her ex-boyfriend, had let himself into the house and had assaulted her, and he was still in the house. So these two units arrive. They go in and they tell dispatch if they've still got the lady on the phone, which they did. Have her meet him at the door. She opens the door and said, "Where's he at?" And this guy, the suspect, was a correctional officer, so he was in law enforcement. And he said, "He's to my left in the bedroom, and it's possible the guns are in there with him. He has a gun." So, as any of us would, they go to the door of the bedroom. This guy's a humongous man, 350 pounds, is sitting on the bed talking on a phone. And one of the two guys said, we need you to get off the phone so we can talk to you. Can you tell us where the gun's at? And so the guy hops up off the bed, and in one fluid motion, he was setting on the gun, the pistol. One fluid motion, fires two shots at the officers. Hits one guy point blank right here. Kills him instantly. Hits the other guy in the upper corner of his vest. And this officer that survived, that's telling his story, got hit in the vest. And he said he remembered returning fire once or twice and backing out of the doorway and going down the hallway and realizing that the guy was pursuing him and shooting at him. He said he remembers getting shot in the leg. He remembers getting shot or losing the feeling in his hand. So he thought he dropped his weapon, which in reality he still had it. He just couldn't feel his hand because he got shot in the wrist. And he realized that he was at a dead end of the house. So he made a split-second decision to turn around and charge this ginormous man that was running at him, firing his weapon at him. They met, like the scene from The Matrix, where the agent Smith and Neo meet each other in the hallway, gun to gun, hand to hand. They go down, they're fighting, wrestling. This guy manages somehow to put handcuffs on the bad guy. He radios in to the communication center that he'd been shot. He had had no radio contact since they got there. No other officers came. They didn't know what was going on. And he's trying to tell them where he's at in the house. They're asking him about the suspect. He says, "I have the suspect. The suspect is down." They're asking about, they're trying to get his partner on the radio. Sorry. To provide some additional information about the scene. It's terrible because this can happen at any time for our law enforcement officers. And for this guy to get up there and tell us his story, that he's a survivor. But the story doesn't end there. Um, the medics come in, the good guys come in. He describes the sound of hearing the sirens coming. He doesn't know how bad he's hurt. He's laying on top of the guy when the guy dies because one of the shots that he'd fired at him, he'd hit him in the heart, which was a fatal wound. But it was when the encounter first happened. So people that think, one shot to a suspect and they instantly go down, this exploded part of the bad guy's heart. And not only did he keep going, but he fired multiple more shots at this police officer who had just responded to the call. He goes on to tell about being flown out, about the chief meeting him at the hospital to check on him. He talked about the healing process physically for him. He talked about not being able to attend his partner's funeral because he was in the hospital. He played a tribute to his partner. That was just incredible. If I can get a hold of it, I'll post it. But then he talked about the emotional baggage that he's carried with him. This happened 10 years ago. And he said every day he deals with it. He ended up going back to work and he felt like people treated him different. Some better, some worse. He eventually went back on the shift that he was on after being out on medical for months. And after, working a few weeks, he had his supervisor that came to him and said, "Why aren't you pulling cars over and writing tickets?" And he says, I'm standing there. He says, I'm in shock. And I'm thinking, dude, do you not know what I've been through? Do you really think I want to put myself in more of a risk than I am already? I'll answer the calls. I'll do my job. But, I can't make myself pull cars over because of, in my mind, I'm just like, I can't deal with another tragedy. He said even sitting in the hospital bed, healing, there was a jurisdiction not far from him that had an officer-involved shooting, that they killed the bad guy. And he said it's taken him years to even get to the point where he can talk about it. He felt like talking about it to us at this conference was therapy for him. And what a message. I mean, I wish I could have this guy come and talk at every event I go to. Share it with our police departments and our chiefs and our community members to know what these guys go through. He said, I never followed up to see if any of the police officers, any of the medical crew that helped me, that saved my life, that treated me, that worked the scene of my dead partner and my shooting, I never checked to see if they got help. I got help. I survived physically. He said, but emotionally, I see counselors, I act different. My emotions are stronger. I react negatively a lot more than I used to around his wife and his kid. These are the things that, I could easily skip out on a block of training like that at a school. But then you miss a message like I heard. I tell you, our community doesn't know the sacrifices that are made by our law enforcement officers. And his is just an example to the extreme. We see things every day that people should not see. We do things every day that people should not be required to do. And then we're supposed to do a report, get back in our police cars, and get back on the road. And go pull cars over and write tickets. Because that's what police officers are supposed to do. Well, I'm here to tell you, we do an awful lot more. We do an awful lot more. And we do it because we love our community. And we love our brothers and sisters in blue. And we do it because that's what we're supposed to do.